The situation in West Asia remains tense, to say the least. Almost 6 weeks into the war, Israeli strikes have flattened substantial parts of Gaza. Today, we go through battleground Gaza and the different theatres where the war is unfolding and the impact that it's leaving on the ground. The only lifeline that gave some hope to Palestinians were the hospitals. The complete blockade and Hamas's hiding strategy, as claimed by Israel, has made matters worse for days now in the hospitals. Hospitals, medical facilities have become a key target of relentless bombardment. Hamas's health ministry has claimed that all hospitals in North Gaza are out of service. Medical services can be barely administered in northern Gaza. This includes the two biggest hospitals in the Gaza Strip, which have been rendered out of service. The Al-Shifa and the Al-Quds Hospital in the Gaza city have suspended operations. You can see these visuals. The situation, it's dire, catastrophic. The WHO managed to speak to health professionals at the Al-Shifa hospital. They described a dire and perilous situation. And it was not saying that it was not functioning as a hospital anymore, with constant gunfire and bombing exacerbated by the already critical circumstances. The situation in Gaza's largest hospital, it's appalling. Premature babies were placed in incubators, which were earlier placed in incubators, now wrapped in foil, placed next to hot water, this in a desperate attempt to keep them alive. As of now, a total of 7 premature babies and 27 critical patients have died in Al-Shifa hospital. According to the Deputy Health Minister in the Hamas-run Gaza Strip, they fear the death toll among patients will rise in the coming hours. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry further added at least 2,300 people are still inside Al-Shifa hospital. In an update shared by the WHO, a doctor in the region said that the Al-Shifa hospital can no longer accept patients. Ambulances have stopped evacuating the wounded Palestinians and bringing them to Al-Shifa. Meanwhile, the staff inside say it's impossible to leave without risking injury or death. Medical workers are warning of rising casualties among patients. According to the United Nations Humanitarian Agency, 20 of Gaza's 36 hospitals are no longer functioning since Israel announced the complete siege of the Strip. According to multiple reports, there's no food, no fuel to run the generators. Solar energy is being used to power a few of the critical systems here. And seeing the situation unfolding in Gaza, United States President Joe Biden said that Gaza's largest hospital must be protected. This as Israeli tanks surround the facility with hundreds of patients and staff still trapped inside. While the United Nations has demanded all parties should uphold and respect their obligations under international humanitarian law. Now, let's move to Gaza City, where Gaza's parliament building is located, an important theatre in this war as well. An image is circulating on social media. This image, it shows troops of the IDF's 13th Battalion, the Golani Brigade, inside the parliament building, raising the Israeli flag inside the Hamas militants' seat of political power after the IDF troops captured the site. The defense minister, Yoav Gallant, has said Hamas has lost control in the Gaza Strip as the Israel Defense Forces move to fully capture Gaza City. He further added, terrorists are fleeing south, civilians are looting Hamas bases, and they have no confidence in the government. Within hours of the Israeli Defense Minister announcement, rockets were seen being launched towards Israel from Gaza. Sirens were also heard in central Israel, but as seen from Sderot, the missiles were intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome. Although, according to the Ashkelon Coast Regional Council, 1 rocket fell in the region, no injuries were reported, but buildings and vehicles were damaged. As rockets were fired into Israel, in southern Gaza, hundreds of thousands of refugees are in the midst of a humanitarian crisis that is deepening by the hour, pushing every possible safety net to the brink. People are washing themselves in polluted seawater, sleeping in packed tents, eating little bread that they can find. Sometimes they go days without eating. The people are coming from Gaza's north, fleeing Israel's bombardment. Some with a few possessions, but most bearing only their children and the clothes on their backs. Let's come to the Rafah crossing now. The first group of foreigners and injured Palestinians evacuated after the Rafah border crossing, this is the Rafah border crossing, reopened and arrived in Egypt from Gaza. And according to reports, the group that entered into Egypt comprised of 7 injured Gaza residents, along with more than 80 foreign nationals and their dependents. The border crossing, it had been closed for nearly 2 days since the 10th of November due to issues related to transportation of injured Palestinians from northern Gaza. With the border crossing reopening, around 88 trucks arrived in the Gaza Strip from Egypt. Now, with the reopening of the Rafah crossing, there are wider fears of regional conflagration in West Asia as well. This is the Israeli-Lebanon border on the map, as you just saw. Cross-border hostilities between Israeli military and Hezbollah continue to rise. The militant group Hezbollah fired anti-tank missile towards Israeli troops near the border's western sector. In retaliation, Israeli defense forces carried out airstrikes along the country's border with Lebanon. There are also reports of a convoy of journalists that came under attack near the Lebanese border. IDF claimed that the targets included terror infrastructure, weapons storage compounds, and an operational command center which was used by Hezbollah. This is how things stand at the moment.